All right, welcome everybody to EdVentures Day 3. I hope everyone has been enjoying the mini conference. I know I have. I think Marilyn was really good and provided some great resources. I'm going to quick share my screen. So day 3, 9 to 11:30. And so the agenda for today is I'm going to start us off with going through the Project Learning Trees website and providing you with how to access their professional development. There's so many resources that I think need to be highlighted, and so I'll help walk through that. Then Carly is going to touch a little bit on the National a National Association of Environmental Education's standards for early childhood. So basically, she's going to kind of just give us an overview, not a whole training. Marilyn did touch on it yesterday. Then we might have a little wrap up with Natalie about the adaptations for different accessibilities for activities. So she'll do that probably right after Carly. Then what we'll do is that activity share, and we'll go into breakout rooms, which is something I've never done. So I will need a moment, but I'm figuring it should be okay. And thanks to
Together we can do it.
Yeah, thanks to our sponsors. I think it'll just take a moment because I'm going to put everyone in rooms so that we all have one facilitator in each room. So Carly, me, and Natalie. So today I am going to go through Project Learning Tree, and hopefully everyone has made a login, and you'll be able to access everything. So I am a coordinator, so I do have extra features, but I went and logged in myself as a just normal person, and you'll be able to see what is available to you. So Project Learning Tree advances environmental literacy with the focus in trees and forests, including stewardships and making career pathways. It has 3 branches. Learning Tree, 3 branches. One is curriculum, then the other is the network, and the other is professional development. So the curriculum is basically a lot of the books, the materials. The network is all the people. So all the facilitators can connect, and they can also connect with National. And then the professional development is like this deeper dive into giving educators more skills and more knowledge, and that's through the website. So we're going to go ahead and walk through that. And then just a few things about Project Learning Tree. They've been around for 45 years. They are great with professional developments. They're always updating everything. So even with the early childhood education guide, they are updating it. A brand new one will be available 2022. So even though these are so good, the standard, way the activities themselves will stay the same, but they may update it to make it more clear. They may update it to make it easier to use. They might, do something. They're changing the whole front. So I think it's called Trees and Me is the new title. They provide even free resources, but you can also purchase resources. So if there's not an training available, you can take classes online, and they are exemplary. They are very, very good. There also is free activities, and those are the family activity sheets, and I'm going to show you where you can find them. Also, this says student pages, and what that means is if you have an activity guide and then you want to give it to your students, it's going to be a page for the students versus like at the top saying teacher page and then students within that. So it's just straight up download it, print it, student pages. Just like did. Okay. So, and they always do evaluations. They're always looking towards facilitators or people using their guides asking for feedback, asking for, is this working? So a lot of people who have taken surveys that are educators or facilitators have given feedback saying, this is a great way to get my kids outside. The quality of the professional development is very high. It increased my engagement and learning. So those are all, just as a summary, things that Project Learning Tree provides. So we're going to access the main page, and I'm going to walk you through how to access materials for early childhood educators. So I'm going to. I have to reshare again, one moment. Okay, do you guys see the page? Awesome. Okay, so I am logged in, but I'll start from the very beginning. So you can log in. This has my login automatically. This is, like I said, just a regular login. Coordinators actually have another page that they can access. So if you log in, and even if you don't log in, you could still access a lot of things. You're going to want to, the biggest thing that I would say is looking at this taskbar that's here across the top. And then at the very, very top, you can also use this search function. But my suggestion is start with this curriculum and then go to curriculum offerings. And it's going to be organized. This first section is organized by education level. And so we're going to dive into that, but just know very at the bottom, it gives all of the professional development and guides available. So if you wanted to just focus on what is available for early childhood, you would browse here and you would see that the early childhood environmental experiences guide is at the very top. And you can go into each one of these and it's going to give you a little bit more in depth. This is an award-winning activity guide. It does align with standards. So these are all the standards that are in alignment with the Early Childhood Guide, National Association for Education of Young Children, Head Start, and NAAEE, which is what Carly's going to talk to us about a little bit later. Then all of the resources that we go through and that are available are on the shop. And they show you that you can purchase these resources four different ways. So you can do a course. So if there's no training available to you, you can do an online course. And like I said, those are the ones that I've taken to familiarize with myself with Project Learning Tree, and they're amazing. Then you can do an ebook. Now, if you get this ebook, you're going to want to use an email that's going to follow you through your career. So the suggestion is not to make it where you're going to have it at one job. You want to make sure, because every time you log in, you have to put an email. And so you have to put that login to actually get the guide every time. It's kind of like a lock feature. You can buy the printed guide, you can buy just the book, and then you can buy the course and the book. So this is all of the early childhood. And then if we go back, the next thing available is Green School. So this is, you can buy this. There is a lot of resources available for you online if you wanted to do an educator guide. And basically Green Schools is providing young learners a way to make a difference in their environment with their school while using and developing skills like language, math, science, and more. You can download these guides. There's different investigations that you can do with your students. And if you want, they do have, like, again, their own page that you can dive into. The page is just a little slow, but the next resource that's available to you is something called an EU unit. So when we talk about a lot of Project Learning Trees, professional development that's available to you, a lot of it is a supplemental curriculum. It's ideas that you can add to your existing curriculum. This is an E-unit, and what an E-unit is it is a whole activity, a whole curriculum, a well-balanced, you want to follow this all the way through, and it will provide you with step-by-step lessons plans, background information, downloaded pages, websites, and all of these, again, are completely comprehensive standalone activities. It is a slow website. One moment. Okay. So, and again, if you get, like we went too far, we just go back to curriculum offerings, to early childhood. Now, the next thing is their pre-K through 8 guide, which is something they just updated. So it was being in development for an update, and it was just released. So this is the new K-8 guide, which is just a version of the pre-K-8 guide. And the new K-8 guide is actually really amazing. They made it more streamlined. They made it easier to use. They made it more clear. It's just a really nice flow. You can buy all of these things. Some people may be asking, why would you go through a training if you could just do this online? Well, there's 2 benefits to doing a training, I think. One is the network, that you can interact with other people in a training, whether it's virtually or in person. But you could get a discount on the books. So if the books are bought in bulk by a facilitator, you're going to get a discount with buying the books. And the K-8 guide is actually divided up in different sections. So, we're saying it's K through 8, so kindergarten through 8th grade. You can look for the section that is the K through 3 section. It is color coded. And so you can just focus on the ones that align more with your student ages. And the last thing I'm going to show you is the family activities, which are great because you can download these, and they're made without standards, without a lot of the frills, and it's just a quick sheet that a mom can grab and then follow along to do the activity. And if you can see, there's actually no toggle to kind of learn more about it. So if you wanted to, you could go to resources and go down to free family activities, or you can go to curriculum and go to curriculum offerings. And then you go all the way down. And I thought it was on this page, but maybe it's
Carly just dropped a lot of those links in the chat.
Oh, good.
So if you want to just click on them and bookmark them, that might be a great option if you've already created a login.
So here's the family activity page. I found it going into resources, and you go all the way down to the free activities for families. And what's great about this is they give you, like I said, those downloadable activity pages. So let's say we want to learn about forests. You want to make sure that you just click this black activity, every tree for itself. And then you can hit this download the activity, and here's your page right here. And if you download it, you do get all the background information, and then you can just, teach your students or your family how to do that activity. And like I said, all of those are free and accessible and able to print. Ooh, don't look at that. Okay. So I'm going to stop share. Share again. Hold on one moment. I'm just orienting this bar that's kind of in my way.
Why does it always pop up in a different spot?
I don't know. I'm
It's like
trying
you
to
did it just exactly where you want, and then all of a sudden it's in a different spot. What the heck?
I don't know. Okay, so I think, oh yeah, and if you do access something online, like I said, you want to keep that email that's going to stay with you. And there is a few extra steps. So if you get trouble, let me, you can always email me and say, hey, can you help me with this? But you do have a few extra steps when you buy something online. You have to get an access code. But they do have tutorials for that. So right now we're I'm like, ooh, that only took me 20 minutes. Woo! I'm going to stop share. Okay, so does anybody have any questions? You can come off mute or put in the chat about being able to access the website.
Has anyone had trouble logging in or anything like that?
Who's logged in? You can give me a thumbs up or raise your hand. Kathleen. She's like cowering, so that's why I picked.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I have or not. If I did, it was last week, but I will.
I highly recommend it. It's very easy. You will be put on one email, and it's the branch, which is the national way to communicate with educators. And you will get updates on like what's new, what's available. Like they just launched the course for the new K-8 guide. So the online course has just been released. Like I think it was like September 1. And so those kind of announcements you'll get from the branch, which is the Project Learning Tree newsletter.
And they allow you to unsubscribe if it gets too much, but it's not, it's not like overwhelming in how many emails they send. And I don't think they're very salesy,
No, it's
20%
more like
off today. Those kind of things.
It's more like, no, I think it's like once a month the branch gets stuff sent out. And Angelica, you asked, is it free for life? So yeah, I think the website is available to you, anytime you log in. Now, if you have any trouble, National is very responsive with questions about their website or logins or anything like that. You can definitely communicate with them and they'll help you. Okay, anybody else have questions? All right. So I think the next thing is my friend Carly. Oh no, it's a raffle. Do we need to do a raffle right now?
Already?
I know,
Make
but
them
I
stay
thought
a
it was
little
going to be
longer.
like an hour. Okay, yeah. So Carly, we'll have you go next. Okay. Hold on one moment, Carly. Unless you want to introduce yourself.
Okay.
Hold on. I'll share my screen. One moment. Does everybody see this wonderful screen?
Yes.
All right. So next is Carmen E. Tuminello. She's director of the Jericho Suki Nature Museum. She spoke to us on the first night Tuesday. So if you weren't able to meet her, and she is going to talk to us about those NAAE standards for early childhood education and how we can kind of raise it up to provide the best education opportunities for our young students as possible. So if you wanted to take it away, Carly.
Yes. I am going to start with a Mentimeter. And there we go. So let's start with a Mentimeter. Can you guys see that? Yeah, okay. So I want to know some of the things, not all of them obviously, but some of the things that you already incorporate into your lessons with your students. What do you explore?
And really quick, just because some people might not have been here, that is just review how to do it.
Yes.
Please.
You go to menti.com. I usually use my phone, but you can always pop up a new browser tab too. And then use the code that's at the top here. And that's how you access this. And then you can enter in your answers and they will pop up here. There we go. So this should make a fun word cloud, and I'll put this into the Moodle too when we have it all together. Awesome. So we have animal observations, owls, insects, leaves and trees, free exploration. Awesome. Gardening, butterflies, leaf journals. Ooh, that sounds interesting.
Carly, I'll tell you about it later if you want.
Wow.
That was from me.
So many different things. That's interesting. With the word cloud, it makes commonalities bigger words. So we teach a lot of trees and insects. I'm going to drop my resources in the chat too, so I don't forget that. Awesome. I love this word cloud. There's so many things. All right, you can keep adding to that as we go through, and we can revisit that later. And again, I'll put that on the Moodle so we have a record of that. So many awesome things that we're already doing, right? So let's dive into this awesome resource. And I'm going to kind of overview kind of all of what this amazing website has to offer you, because there's so many resources. A lot like what Kelly just showed us on PLT, NAAE has just an amazing amount of resources. So I'll kind of walk you through a little bit about what this is if you've never heard of them, what the organization is, and then what they have to offer, because they do have a lot. So if you are unfamiliar, the North American Association for Environmental Education is an organization that is committed to promoting excellence in the field. They work with partners across North America and beyond to advance the mission of accelerating environmental literacy and civic engagement to create a more sustainable future. So all of these resources definitely apply to the work you're already doing. I just want to mention their primary sponsors are EE360 and the US EPA. They also have partnered with many, many different organizations across North America, and these are a few of them. And if you're not familiar with these resources, each of these also has just an amazing amount of lessons and professional development opportunities, and their own awesome websites. So I definitely would suggest looking into these partnering organizations. I know the Colorado Alliance for Environmental Education has done a few programs that I've taken part in recently, and they're just phenomenal. So please make sure that you look into these organizations too, because all of these are wonderful things to keep on your radar as well. So NAAE has created these amazing guidelines for excellence. So these are comprehensive resources that promote excellence in environmental education. So there are three main goals of these books that they have put together: are promoting professional development and best practice in EE, bringing people together to create change, and to be a champion for environmental education at all levels. So these different guides are separated into different sections. So they have 6 primary products. These are all available on their website, which I did drop in the chat, as free ebooks. You can also order the printed guide if you want to through them, but they are all available for free download. And so please feel free to look through all of these. We will be highlighting today number 5, the early childhood environmental education programs. But I just want to really quickly kind of outline what these other ones are, because some of them aren't like super obvious by the title what exactly they include. So the EE materials guidelines is kind of the foundation or the base for a lot of the other ones. So this is the instructional materials, suggestions, and guidelines. So key characteristics of what makes good quality instructional materials for use by both the developer and the end user trying to decide if the materials are appropriate for your programs. So if you're looking kind of where to start or what to include, that's a good guide to overview and look through. The K through 12 EE guidelines, this is a very comprehensive learner expectations that lead to environmental literacy. They are benchmarked at 4th, 8th, and 12th grade. So this is, it has an executive summary with a self-assessment tool. It allows educators to think about the degree that their programs are built into a pathway of environmental literacy. So this one, in my mind, is kind of meant to be a district-wide adoption, right? This is something you can take to your administrators and look at how your development of environmental literacy happens through all of the grades, right? So this is something that can link through the entire curriculum, which is awesome. It's very comprehensive. The number 3, the professional development for environmental educators, is a set of recommendations that prepare for continuing education for teachers and other educators. And so it describes what environmental educators should be able to do and what they should know. So it's kind of an overview of your goals, right, of what your own knowledge base should be. The non-formal environmental education program provides recommendations for the design and implementation of comprehensive non-formal EE. So any sort of program at like nature centers or museums, I use this one a lot. And it also has a needs assessment to program design and implementation for evaluation. So there's a lot in that one as well. We'll go over the early childhood programs today, and that is the focus of ages 3 to 6. And then community engagement, another amazingly comprehensive guide, provides guidelines focused on community wellness. It's designed to help environmental educators create inclusive environments that support effective partnerships and collaborations. So if you have tie-ins to any of those different subjects, please be sure to check out these other guides as well. And again, they're all available for free download on their website. So the guidelines, all 6 of them, were developed through a public participatory process. Tried to say that 3 times fast. And really engaged educators from all over North America and across the world, really. They partnered with anyone and everyone they could. And they built this up as a professional resource for all EE educators. The essential underpinnings, which is really outlined a lot in the materials guidelines. So that's kind of that foundational document, that number 1 guide. But it's also highlighted in the other guides as well. And this builds on these core key principles that inform the approach to education. So these are all included. These are kind of all of the main themes that go through all of the guidelines and the main things that they wanted to focus in on in these very comprehensive guides. So building environmental literacy, this is obviously a major goal of NAAEE and what their partnering organizations do. So the ultimate goal of environmental education is to build an environmentally literate society. That's a big goal. Environmental literacy encompasses experiences, understanding, and action. So it's kind of a 3-pronged thing, which Marilyn kind of pointed out and touched upon the other day too. While knowledge and understanding are important components of environmentally literate citizens, the key is connecting what we know and what we do. So turning the awareness into involvement, and then that into your knowledge base, so you have a solid foundation of knowledge of the world around you. And that brings about a change in attitude, right? You start to care about what is around you when you know what it is. And then that should lead to behaviors and actions to care for and to help with the sustainability and the reliance on the natural world. So these things all this is the overarching goal of these kind of guidelines and where we're going. And your set of cognitive dispositions and your skills and abilities. And so how to grow these, not just in ourselves as educators, but in our students as well, right? Starting young and making it meaningful right from the get-go, because children are naturally attuned to nature, right? This is our base. And so it should be attended to and helped to support as they are learning. So early childhood environmental education, these are some of the tenets that NAAE supports, is that it allows children to construct their own learning through authentic experiences. I always think about this as you can't actually teach anyone anything, right? I can't input things into your brain. I can set up the experience so that you have that experience. You have an authentic experience and you bring it in, right? It's your experience that you're learning from. So as educators, we need to set up a good environment for them to learn and experience. And so nature just has so many authentic experiences, hands-on, that they can really learn and sink in to those memories. It also helps social emotional development, because there's play and exploration. They're using their bodies, that gross and fine motor movement, and so many different ways to do that. Development of early literacy, artistic expression, aesthetic appreciation, right? Get that art and the building and the engineering, all of those different things play in so easily and effortlessly when you're outside in nature, right? And again, for that authentic experience where spontaneous curiosity and wonder kind of abound outside. Physical development, so getting those muscles going, right? Fine and gross motor skills. Climb that tree. Here you can see in this other picture, the kids are cutting the lettuce for their lunch, right? So using their scissor skills and kind of pruning skills to make their own food, right? Figure out where their food systems come from. Developing that sense of wonder and appreciation for the beauty of the natural world. Everybody needs this, right? That curiosity is such an important tool in our own toolbox, and needs to be fostered and allowed to happen, right? We can't get in the way of their wonder and curiosity, because kids just have this innate sense and we don't want to block it. We want to help foster it. And early childhood environmental education is planned with the whole child and every child in mind. Everything is adaptable. Everyone should be able to be included. And so there are themes of environmental justice and including people of all abilities, so that everything is accessible to everyone, because nature it's our human right? We all should have access. We all should be able to appreciate and learn the world around us. It is everyone's world. So let's dive into the program's guide. So this is, again, the 5th document in their guidelines for excellence. And again, I reference these as books because they are quite comprehensive. This is not like even a 10-page guide. I believe this one is like 40 or so pages long. So each of them are just so comprehensive in what they have. And even though they have these themes that run through them, each of them have so much information that is unique to each guide. So this one is our Early Childhood Environmental Education Programs Guide. Again, early childhood spans birth to 8 years old. The focus of this guide is more the 3 to 6 year range. And you can't just apply, K through 12 learning styles to early childhood. It's very unique in how kids learn and how they're developing their abilities. So you don't want to try to, adapt from those resources. You want to use the uniquely set resources that are for kids that are 3 through 6. So some of the key characteristics are program philosophy and purpose and development, developmentally appropriate practices, play and exploration. Again, that's a big theme through all of them. Curriculum framework for environmental learning, and places and spaces. So how to set up your space to facilitate the best learning practices. And then educator preparation. So how do you prepare to be in these spaces and giving these lessons and helping to facilitate? Okay. So program philosophy, purpose, and development is the first section of this guide. So these are the 8 sections, tenets in this first section. So focus on nature and the environment, focus on the education of young children. So the unique ways that children learn and how to foster those when they're at this developmental stage. Culturally appropriate goals, objectives, and practices. I love this section. It really brought around a lot of things that I wasn't aware of, right? It has a lot of different examples, a few case studies, which I'll point out in just a second, but really a different way to think about things and to think about, kind of put yourself in other people's shoes and see the world from their worldview, which I love to do as an anthropologist. So that has a lot of great resources and information as well. Environmental literacy, so what that looks like at this age group and what you should be helping to facilitate. There's a section on health and safety. Obviously, you want to have a good risk assessment before you head outside so that you make sure that the area that you are going to be in, that you're mitigating any hazards. Risks are okay, right? We want kids to take risks, but safely. And hazards are something that they could, really get physically injured. And so we want to eliminate those before we head out there. Evaluation and assessment. So how do you document, right? And I will share another resource on how to do that, because I know that question came up. And really a lot of this is, things that you're doing, and it's just how you document it that fits into the standards that are out there, right? You're learning all of these things in a different way. So you need to evaluate them a little bit differently, but you're still meeting all of those standards. It's just a way to kind of match them up. The importance of partnerships and collaborations and kind of how you can go about creating those within your programs. And then interpersonal and intergenerational relationships. So involving the families and their customs and cultures and things like that in this as well. So this is an excerpt. And I went through and kind of highlighted a few things. So the yellow is from me, just so you understand when we're going through these. But I took some screenshots from the guide, and I just really love this part. This is from 1.3, I think, the cultural appropriation and things like that. But to point out that, a lot of, especially craft activities, right, where they're coming up with some sort of construction paper thing to take home. It goes home and it goes either maybe on the fridge for a little bit, but eventually goes into the trash can, right? So a lot of what we're making is I don't like to say that, but it's going to end up as waste, right? I mean, that's just kind of what we're producing. So making things that are environmentally conscious should also be part of your curriculum and planning. Acknowledging that different cultures and different backgrounds are going to be at your program, hopefully, and tying in and respecting those different ways that children might be coming in, seeing the world and handling the different things. So corn and maize is very revered in Mexican cultures. Snakes may be either feared or worshipped, right? So there's different things that kind of tie into these things. And so you should be aware, you should ask, right? Talk to the families, get to know their backgrounds, just so that you can be very cognizant of those things. And then one nature-based preschool allows for food for play only if it ends up for food as animals. I love that, right? Like, you don't want to have it be waste, return it to the earth, have things be in your sensory bin or for craft activities, but then have, some sort of a composting bin or something like that, where you can then return it to the soil, right? And not have it be just in a landfill, but actually use it in your garden. The second area ties into developmentally appropriate practices. And like Marilyn had mentioned, this is entirely unique to the kids that you are working with. So it has a section on research and theory. And in the appendices, there's a really great whole outline of this too. So be sure to key in on that as well, because there's a lot of resources on the research. Authentic experiences, so how to facilitate and encourage these experiences outside in nature. Have a child-centered or directed and inquiry-based program. So how to go about doing that, kind of the framework of how you would incorporate those things into your focuses. And then the whole child. So how to make things accessible and open to whatever specific age range or developmental abilities that your kids have. So how do you adapt the programs to really make it meaningful and open to everyone that's in your program? So here's another excerpt that I had. Young children communicate their knowledge in their own way and time. Again, I think environmental education allows that flexibility, and it comes down to documenting and how you're interpreting what they're learning, which can be tricky. And so there are some really great materials out there to kind of help you document it properly, right? How do you fit this expansive, very flexible world into these standards? There are ways to do that, right? You are already doing this work, and they help you kind of capture those moments. And then an example assessment here is kind of how to capture those moments, right? So new vocabulary that the children are using in conversation, you can sit down and record that with them, right? Like have either yourself or maybe a teacher's aide or something like that, write down what their words are, right? Like what is the word they're focusing on for the day, or what pops out when they're in conversation. The questions that the child is asking, again, recording those or somehow documenting them. That's where like nature journals and things like that come in really well, because then you kind of create your portfolio as you go. And indications that the child's experiences have helped them form new ideas or refine old ideas. So again, a lot of these things kind of happen in the moment as you're going through your day. But writing them down and documenting them really helps track their progress, right? Section 3 is play and exploration. So how to facilitate and then kind of step back. So what is your role? And the natural world and the natural materials that you can incorporate. So if you really don't know where to start, this is a great section to kind of key in on what do I incorporate, right? Where do I start? And what materials are safe and easy to implement in your program. And a lot of nature materials are free, right? They're outside, you go collect them. There are some things that you can, if time is of the essence, but maybe you have some grant money, because there's a lot of different grants and things like that out there, including the EEAI mini grant, which is opening soon. There's money out there, right? If you find these kind of nature play sets that are ready to go, they're very easy to implement into your program. So this kind of has some ideas of what to look for, but this shouldn't be a difficult thing to incorporate into your program. So if you need help kind of framing that out, this is a good section. I love this little breakout that they have on this, the benefits of outdoor play. This can be really a helpful resource, and the appendices that correlate to this too. If you're having to kind of justify it to your administration, this is a great way to key in, or to involve the parents, right? So whoever you need to kind of sell this idea to, because sometimes a lot of times from our generation, from the parents' generation, we've been disconnected from nature. And that was, an issue, especially in the 80s, when they pushed the whole, like, nature is the Arctic and the rainforest and the desert. It was always something far away. And they keyed in on all of the bad things that were happening there, right? Like, we've learned the whole no bad things before 4th grade thing now, because when you introduce those topics when they're young, like really, in that early childhood phase, they can't do anything. And I know as an adult, when I feel like I can't do anything, you put it out of your head, right? Like, that's too much for me. I can't take on that whole huge empathy of, there's a polar bear dying somewhere, or the rainforest is on fire. as a 3-year-old, there's nothing you can do about that, right? And so putting that kind of burden on them actually helps them to disassociate from it instead of caring about it. So that kind of backfired in our generation. And we've learned from that. And so that's really why these guidelines and things like that are so important, because it's changing how we're teaching about environmental education. And instead of that biophobia that we accidentally instilled in that entire generation, we're looking to instill biophilia, right? Love of the environment instead. And so keeping those big adult problems out of their world and allowing them to appreciate things first and really care about them, that is the overarching goal, right? That is what we need to do. And that can be hard to connect with parents sometimes because they've already disassociated, right? A lot of them have. And they can get back into it through seeing their child's love, right? Through seeing through their child's eyes, this wonder and curiosity. And so we can break into that and have everybody care about it. And I get that that's a big goal, but that is something that is why your work is so important, is that it's not just about the next generation, it's about the previous generations too, right? Having everybody recognize that we all rely on the natural world and why it's so important. So I kind of went on a tangent there, but some really great topics here. And I just want to point out the opportunity for giddy, gleeful, dizzy play. Everybody needs that, right? Oh my gosh, does that sound fun? I think Saturday afternoon, that's what my Saturday afternoon's about. Exploration, curiosity, wonder. These are all things that just naturally happen outside. So let them, right? Get them outside and get out of their way and let them play. So number 4 is the curriculum framework for environmental learning. So social emotional growth, curiosity and questioning. So how do you kind of foster those abilities, right? How do you let them or encourage them to do those things? Development of environmental understandings. So how to work in that foundational knowledge. Like Marilyn keyed in on, you don't want to ask them all the questions, right? Because there's usually one right answer that you're looking for. You want to help them ask the questions, which usually leads to more questions, right? And especially in this age bracket, they don't have to have the right answer. You're trying to help them learn how to question, not necessarily how to identify exactly what this is, right? We're not in like a taxonomic study. We're trying to help them be naturalists, which means they're questioning and they're looking and they're curious about the world around them, not necessarily having the exact right answer all the time. So kind of step back from that, either questioning them or saying, did you know this? Because of course they didn't know that. Like that phrase, did you know? I know I've tried to take it out of my museum too, because like you're trying to give them new information, but then you're asking them if they knew it already. And so either you're trying to point out that, haha, you didn't know this, or it doesn't really instill another set of questions, right? They're like, oh, okay, here's a fact, right? So kind of how to do that framework of setting up the questions and letting them be curious and explore. Skills for understanding the environment. Personal sense of responsibility and caring. So kind of getting into that empathy, right? How do we take that next step once we know about something, that we care about something, and that we act to help preserve it? And then physical health and development. So some guidelines and frameworks for that as well. So this is one excerpt from here, kind of getting into how you encourage the questioning base, right? And again, I'm a big proponent of nature journals. It's a great way to document these sorts of things. And it gives you the opportunity to kind of pose these questions, right? Give them a prompt and then let them explore and have some artistic freedom, but it also helps you document what's going on as well. The sense of place too. Again, this is one of my favorite bump outs. The benefits of play and the sense of place, I think, are like the keys for this document. I just absolutely love these two. So children, and I would say everyone, needs to have a sense of belonging in their world. So place-based learning, having a place that you go to that you really, really understand and know. Marilyn mentioned that bush that they were like supposed to walk past, right? Now it became like their bush that they adopted. And now the kids always go and see what's going on in that bush. A lot of times it, becomes a tree or something like that. But something that they can call home, right? That they can know everything that there is to know about that place. And home takes a much different form depending on where you are. The US, we have a lot of different places that you can call home. And knowing as much and having contact as much as possible with those local nature outside classrooms or schoolyards or backyards, anything like that can help foster that sense of place. I also want to point out at the end here on the last 2 paragraphs that sometimes being outside in your neighborhood is not safe, right? That might not be part of our regular experience, but it is for some neighborhoods and some children. So you can always bring nature into the classroom if that's safer, right? But there's always ways to tie in nature into, have it be part of your regular lesson planning. And so there are different suggestions on how to do those things safely as well if you can't have an outdoor experience. Places and spaces. So this section is all about how to set up your area. There's so much great information here. So spaces and places to enhance development, natural components. So what do you bring in? Comfortable for both children and adults. So you want a learning setting to be a comfortable place that you can sit in for quite a long time, right? So what kind of components do you need to include, like benches and seats and shade, all of those things that can make it a very comfortable environment, because you can't learn if you're not comfortable, right? You need to have your body set and be at ease so that you can really take in the experience. Maintenance and usability, health, safety, and risk, and environmental sustainability. So this is a great one to set up an outdoor space, right? To look at those risk assessments, to make sure that there's healthy risks and no hazards. And then how do you keep this up over time, right? How do you make sure that this is a safe place for years to come? And that usually helps if you set it up the right way first, right? And put in the resources at the beginning to have a nice safe space. So they have some really great suggestions. They even have kind of a layout or how to make your layout depending on what space you have outside. And the suggestion of, in regulations and standards for areas that have kids of a variety of ages is that you have to have the kids separated by age group, right? So the big kids aren't playing exactly where the young kids are, but make those areas viewable to each other, right? So chain link fences are kind of a good standard right now, but have the areas that are closed off at least visible so that the young kids can still see what the older kids are doing. And that helps foster connection with them too, even if they can't be physically in the same space. But then, different areas having different sections for these different purposes, and having a nice layout to the area that has a flow for how you use the space, right? For how your lessons are set up. And then also components that can be used indoors, right? How do you bring things into your space? How do you set up a nice nature indoor space? Some ideas on how to do that. There's a whole section that keeps going into this as well. Educator preparation, right? How do you prepare yourself to create these wonderful learning experiences? So the foundations of early childhood education, going into a lot of the theory and practice, professional responsibilities of the educators, environmental literacy for yourself and then for your students, planning and implementing. So how do you get ready for these things? What are the best ways to facilitate fostering learning? And then assessment and evaluation. So there is a whole section of how to document, how to do assessment. And then I also shared another document that is also very comprehensive in that as well. So fostering curiosity and exploration, and acknowledging that children are naturally curious, right? And they enjoy exploring. They want to know everything there is about their world. So again, we kind of need to set up the space and then get out of their way, because this is what they're doing, right? They want to know and touch and feel and smell everything that there is to experience. That is their hardwired developmental stage, right? Is they want to explore and see what's going on. So make it open-ended, make it multimodal, make it multisensory, and make it novel. So activities that defy reason, right? So invoke curiosity and how to go about doing that. And then how to structure activities. So especially in early childhood, it really helps to have a clear beginning, middle, and end, and tell them before you start what comes next, right? Kind of like how Kelly has been doing with us. It helps to have an agenda for the day. It just helps structure your day and get ready for those transitions so that they're just much easier and less dramatic. When they know what's coming next, it definitely helps the flow of your whole day. And then I do want to point out again, I know I've mentioned it a couple of times, but don't skip the appendices. There's some really great information back there. This one is the child development and the role of educators play at different ages. But really, there are some great resources in all of the appendices that are included there. So they included them for a reason. And I definitely don't want you to skip over those because I think you'll learn a lot from those as well. So for more information, all of these guidelines are available, again, for free PDF download. You can also order the printed guide, or you can just print it yourself. I do want to note that the sequence of these strands and the individual guidelines themselves may suggest that some skills or knowledge serve as a foundation for others, but the process of becoming environmentally literate is non-linear. Right? It's not like you just follow these guides and we're done. This is a framework for how to do it, right? Guidelines, they were very particular in that term. But the sequence of the guidelines is more of a function of bringing an order and logic to the document rather than a reflection of a hierarchy of skills or knowledge. So take it as a whole instead of trying to go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The whole document should help you frame out your experiences and your learning goals. I also want to invite you to join EE Pro. So this is a wonderful online network through NAAEE. This link is also in your chat. And if you're not already on this platform, I highly recommend it. You can sign up for updates. I think it's weekly, or we can even set it to monthly if you'd like, but updates for the groups that you're in. So you can see the groups here on the bottom. You can select which ones that fit your preferences the best, and fit into your goals as an educator. And these are wonderful networking opportunities. There's a lot of professional development and research that is available on here, lots of different resources. And if you notice on the left-hand side here, there's also a jobs tab. So there's a whole network there of job listings from across North America that you can also tap into as well. You can develop your own profile, so you can make your own little web page on this offering for free. Join the different groups, search for jobs, take part in monthly webinars and other training sessions, and find professional development courses or degree programs and connect with other educators across North America. So this is really kind of your one-stop shop in a way for so many different resources in environmental education. And it's just, there's so many wonderful resources on here. So I do suggest that you get in here and explore, create your own profile so that you have a way to connect with other educators. It's a great program. I think that's everything I had right now. Let me stop sharing. There we go. All right, so did anybody have any questions about any of that? Yes, thank you, Kelly, the EE Pro website as well. So yes, you've got a lot of links to copy and a lot of different resources to go through. And I know this is, it's a lot, right? This is a lot of information and a lot of different resources, but just make sure that you keep these things in the back of your mind too, because if you're looking for professional development in the future, there's a lot of different places that are out there that hopefully now you know about, that are readily available and have a lot of free resources out there for you. Thank you.
Thanks, Carly. And I think, I mean, it is a lot of information, but I think it's so valuable, and I'm so glad that you're willing to share that with us, Carly.
Yeah,
So I think it's time for a break. Who wants a break?
sounds good.
Okay, good. Wonderful info. We'll decompress 5 minutes, do what you need to do, get some water, then we'll come back for a raffle. So you want to make sure you're on time.
Yeah, way to bring them back with that raffle, Kelly. Good way to like fish them in.
Yeah.
There's some good stuff. You
Okay,
just don't
so
know what it is yet.
I'm gonna say I have 10:04, so I'm gonna say 10:10. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, ready, go. All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm gonna share my screen so we can do what? Have
A raffle.
a raffle. Okay. So to let you know what you're gonna win. Oh, this is not right. Oh yeah, we have to go back. Right?
This is like in Wayne's World when they go.
Yeah. Well, and I'm like trying to find about this. I mean, this does not need to happen. Hold on one moment. Sorry about that. Well, I guess the first one is here. So the winner for this raffle will get Nature Circles, but will also get this great book. It does look older, but it is fantastic in explaining what animals do in the winter. And I think I wanted to like add this in that there's, an animal aspect Project Learning Tree, right? The trees support and the forest ecosystems support animals, but also give some love to the winter, which is like, what, 2 months away only. So we're gonna
Rush us, Kelly.
spin the wheel. All right, do you see my wheel? Yes. Okay, I see Carly's shaking her head. So thank you, Carly. All right, ready, go. I'm gonna read the name right this time. Millie. And Millie's on the call, right?
Whoop, whoop.
Is she?
Yes, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna write down Millie P. Okay. So we're gonna close this. Oh, I didn't remove her. Oops. That's okay.
Millie, you don't get to win twice.
Yeah.
Don't get your hopes up.
Okay. So right now we're gonna do our activity share. Hopefully everybody's kind of ready. And I think I told you before, I've not done a breakout room, but I'm gonna wing it. So if you need to gather your materials, I'm gonna go ahead and assign everyone so that there is a facilitator for this training in each group. So, okay. I think we need, oh, how do we do this? Okay. 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 Hold on one moment. Okay, so I'm going to add 3 rooms, correct? Ladies, 2. So yeah, it is going to take me just a second because I'm manually adding everyone. So there should be 4 people in each group? No, like
It's
that
13 of us total.
So one of us has to have 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now I'm going to add. So. Jen, I'm going to put you on mute. Okay.
Does everyone have their whatever their activity?
Activity.
You have all your.
Okay, so why?
Whatever happens, my team's going to win.
Okay, so I have.
Somewhere I have a leaf crown. Where'd it go?
Yeah.
Just kidding. There's no competition here. And actually, I'm not even really competitive.
Okay.
But we can do it.
So how do I move myself?
You could pop into other rooms, I'm pretty sure. I think that once it
I think
happens,
you can assign yourself later.
Right, I know, but I want to be able to, because that's the only thing I'm at a stall at. All right, well, I'm gonna go to room 1. So the ladies that are in room 1, if you want to just take a moment, and in room 2 is going to be Carly, and room 3 is Natalie. Okay, so we're gonna go there for 20 minutes. Do you think that's still good, ladies?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's probably fine.
Okay, so I got at 20 minutes is what?
10:37.
Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna open the rooms and then I'm gonna jump in room 1. So
Prepare to fly over the internet.
ready, go. Oh, I'm gonna, let's see if this, yes, I'm gonna join. Yeah. All right, ladies. Are you all ready to do your activity share?
Good morning. I'm not really sure I really understood this assignment at all, and I don't really feel like I got a lot of communication on it.
Oh,
I
I'm
was
sorry
supposed to
about
pick an
that.
activity and then find something to do, share with it.
Yeah, it's to just teach an activity, and you're going to go over the overview. You're going to go over the title. You're going to share one thing that drew you to it. You know, maybe it was the song or the subject. And
Okay.
so it was just to like kind of give us an opportunity to network with each other and kind of talk with each other, but also give us an opportunity to like kind of deeper dive into the activity guide and at least know one activity, you know, than just like glossing over it throughout the, you know, throughout the training. It's kind of to focus in on it.
Okay, well, I know I had picked an activity because I liked the signs of fall, and it's something that I've done in the past. But I actually just kind of glanced at this, and I'm sorry, but my program year is ramping up. It's the end of my program year, and it's ramping up, and I've been really busy all week. So I glanced at it, but I didn't really come up with anything. So if somebody else wants to go first, I'll kind of look over a little bit and jot down some notes.
Sure, no problem. Angelica or Sandra, did you guys want to go ahead?
I have some suggestions. I narrowed it down to 2. The one on page 19, the tree costumes, and the whole page, page 79,
Oh, okay.
where you cut the vest out of a paper bag. I think that the kids would really enjoy that, and they get to take that home. And down below there, you draw a picture of a tree and you label the tree parts. And it's also, it was achievable, it was attainable, it's pretty easy, and you don't need a whole lot of supplies. And then on page 83, I liked taking neighborhood walks.
Oh, yeah. And which activity was it? We just give us a title really quick, and if you want to read the overview.
Oh, okay. Featured experience tree costumes. The overview. You mean what the materials or the whole page?
Like on page 77, there's a title and it's to be a tree, but if you want to really quick, just read us the overview.
Okay. Trees are a lot like people with limbs, trunks, and skin. Through these experiences, children make a tree costume and explore the parts of a tree.
Awesome. And so your features experience was creating that vest, right?
The paper bag vest.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, paper bag vest. Great.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
And so what What drew you to this activity? Why did you like it?
It was attainable. It was easy. I think it would keep the children's attention. And it was engaging, because when you draw the tree, they would label the parts, so they're applying their knowledge.
Got it.
And yeah, because some of the other ones, I mean, they're all good, of course, but you needed too many supplies and stuff.
I get it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. And you can get the paper bags at Mariano's or Jewel, and that's something that they can decorate and they can take home. Yeah, and color. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
Thanks for going first, Sandra.
yeah.
I can go next if that's okay.
Sounds great. Thank you.
So I chose activity 4, the one where it says we all need trees. The overview is trees are filled with aromatic woods, savory spices, smelly twigs, and yummy fruits. In these experiences, children will explore trees using their noses and mouth. And some of the objectives I kind of like interest me, you know, the objectives were taste tree fruits or smell different tree parts, cook and eat applesauce, write about imaginary apple tree. There was just like several great ideas in there that you can just use in the classroom. And again, not a lot of prep, but you know, just get a piece of paper and you write about an apple tree, or you can draw about an apple tree. I like that. You can kind of add your own ideas to this one, so I thought it was great. And they had the group experiences. I feel like the kids have a great time when they're in a group, small groups, big groups, even individually is a great experience. But I feel like they have a lot more fun because they're talking with they're talking to amongst each other, and not only are they learning socialization, but they're learning a vocabulary from each other. So they're learning a lot without us being there. So it really drew me to the group experiences. So like making the applesauce, you know, the kids are helping make the applesauce where they're peeling and cutting, and then they see the whole thing all together, and then they get to taste it and they get to talk about it. So I really like that. And then also like you can add to this, like I said, you can do a poem, like there's a great poem with apples, or and they're experiencing this not only like in the classroom, but in their home too, because fruit trees, they're getting peaches, or they're getting apples, or they're getting, you know, all different kinds of experiences. They can experience it at home too, not only in the class. So those are the things. So I just brought an apple because we have it in our house, right? It's something that they can find in their house. And I mean, they probably have peaches, or, you know, like bushes too are part of like blueberries and things like that. So I just thought that was this really activity 4. You can add so much to it and not have to prep so much, because you could just talk about it, you know, in class and at home. So I hope I followed it all the things.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So yeah.
I love this activity because I think it brings in the other senses, which, you know, like in some activities we don't always like use smell, you know, and we should be using them all, you know. So wonderful. Yep. Barry, did you want to give it a shot?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, no
I
problem.
let the dog back in. She's out there barking at the neighbor.
No problem.
Oh, sorry about that. Yes. Hi, I'm Mary Nelson.
Hello.
I'm going to do activity 5.
All right.
I ran to go get the dog. Sorry. Signs of fall. Okay, the overview is, though, through these experiences, children will explore the signs of autumn and will play with falling, changing, and dancing leaves. Fall is just such a wonderful time of year. I absolutely love fall. So I think this is why I was drawn to this, because I love all the seasons, but fall has something special in it. It's a time when you can actually still go out and do some exploring and have a lot of fun and not have to be all bundled up or sweating your butt off. There's a lot of different activities in here that I actually was drawn to, but I did want to mention that I thought the word bank was really, really a great asset, because I think it's important that when we're talking to kids, we don't talk down to them and we actually use, you know, the real words like autumn and conifer and deciduous. And I really liked that, you know, and then some of the other descriptive words, fall and twirling.
Yeah.
So I did like that. Out of the activities, I did like the group one, the learning through music and movement, where you pretend to be dancing leaves. So you play the song and you let them sway and dance. And, you know, it's pretty easy to come up with some scarves or something for them to use. I also thought we could just have them use some leaves. And so this is a leaf. I actually picked it yesterday, but I left it in my car and it's kind of dead now. It was on the ground yesterday in my pear tray, and it was really pretty yesterday, but it's kind of brown and dead now. The other thing is the leaf stencils, only because I do have these. I know I have them because I've used them in the past. So that's something else I could incorporate in that. I did want to start though with that. I do a lot of pre-K programming. I'm not a pre-K teacher. I'm a program coordinator, and I do a lot of pre-K programming with my volunteers. And we start all of our programming with a book. And that was the other thing I liked, was the reading connections. There's several really good, I haven't went and got them and looked at which one I would use, but there's several good resources in here for books that I would start with. Whenever I do these programs, and I have anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the school, we always start with the book. Then we do something active, get them up moving, you know, so that's where the dancing leads would come in really great. And then we do some kind of a hands-on activity to make some connections with them, as, you know, the teacher and us are all walking around talking to the kids. So, but I really liked this one. I actually like this whole book. There's a lot of really great activities, and I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, wonderful. Everybody did great. I really appreciate you guys taking the time and sharing, because I think it gives us a little, like I said, deeper dive into separate activities. So it's not just like one person doing one activity, we all get to share. So we do have some extra time. And what I was thinking is that one thing I would like to know from you guys is, first, how did you find out about the program? If you don't mind answering that. Like, what notice did you get?
I get email notices from NAA.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I used to belong, but I'm sure that I'm not a member anymore, but I still get email messages from you.
Yeah, good. That does happen. But we encourage you to register again, because being a member, you get discounts on, obviously, a lot of membership opportunities like this training.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see if I win one.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was like, Mary, there's still one more left. Okay, Angelica, how did you find
Fingers
out?
crossed.
Actually, my husband is a natural. He did the class for the naturalist thing, and so he gets emails sent to him all the time. And he sent this to me because I'm a Montessori teacher for pre-K to kindergarten. So he's like, I think you would really love this, and so that's how I found out about it. And then I signed up.
Awesome.
I'm so glad.
Wonderful. It's good to hear. Sandra, how did you find out about this training? She's not available.
I'm here.
Oh, great.
I'm looking at my emails now. I know I got it through an email, but I don't know which agency.
Oh, that's
wait.
okay. Oh, because you could have gotten it through the Master Naturalist, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But that's all really good info.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I did connect with the Brittany. I don't know if you know who Brittany is, but she sent it out to all the Master Naturalists, and that's why we have a large portion of our group who are Master Naturalists and Master Gardeners.
Abigail? I don't know who Brittany is. Abigail or?
Well, she might
Val?
have sent it out to different regional people, you know what I'm saying?
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
so she might have
Yeah,
gotten
yeah.
the information from somebody else. Okay, and then
okay.
we have a few more minutes and then I'm gonna close the room, or we're all supposed to write 10:35, is that right? I think that was right. So what I want to do is ask you, how are you going to implement this training or this activity guide in your like career or your everyday? If you take your nephew out, like what's your plan after this training?
Well, whenever I do a tree unit, I plan on using some part of this curriculum. I also actually do have a couple of granddaughters that I want to play with some of the activities with this.
Yeah, and I think, part of what EEAI is doing, Environmental Education Association, is trying to connect people with these resources where it's like, do not start recreating the wheel, because these are easy things that are already established that you could just use. And I think, people aren't aware. And I think teachers are so overwhelmed these days, that it's like, we are here to try and help you, connect you, provide you activities so you don't have to take extra time, so that's really good to hear, Mary.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing, that I didn't know that there was resources in our curriculum. We talk about our culture, and that involves learning about different kinds of trees, it talks about the weather and the seasons. So all of that is like, it's in our curriculum, and it's nice that there's something out there that we can just go to and read and see what we could use from there. So definitely I'm going to use it in my classroom, and also with my children too, because we love to be outside. We love to go to nature. Maybe not my older kids. My older children's are like, nah, I don't like to go outside. But my younger ones, we like to go outside, and we, look at toads and trees and learn. They always ask me, what is that? Or what can we do with that? Or, so definitely with my children at home too. So.
Wonderful. That's great to hear.
Well, me,
Yeah.
I can't do much now because of COVID.
Yeah, that's understandable. But how about this? If COVID wasn't there, what would you be doing, Sandra? What's your dream?
Oh, I would go along with another master naturalist, and hopefully do the tree costume on page 79, and draw a picture of the tree, and then the kids could label the tree. And then I would also do on page 83, taking neighborhood walks. That's very good. That's
Yeah.
a very good activity to do outdoors. Yeah. But for now, I might check out that book about the backyard bird songs.
Oh yeah, it's a great book.
Yes. Yes.
She hears that. Awesome. Sorry about that. I was going to also say I really like the CD with
good.
I started listening to it, and they're really great. And I also love the idea of going into the program or the website and finding some good books to read. So, I'm always looking for really great books, and some of them are the pictures. Like I was looking at like on Amazon, I was like, oh my gosh, it looks so beautiful. The kids would be so enticed, even my kids, they would love the pictures that are on there and stuff like that, and the information that comes out of the books. I would also do that. So
Amazing. Well, I'm grateful that everybody's getting something out of the training. I'm going to pop us back so we can join the rest of the group. Let's see. I think I'm on mute. Hello. It's telling me that everyone will be done in like 40 seconds. So we'll all come together. Hello. So
Hello.
Natalie, this is going to be you talking about those adaptations, right?
Yep, we don't have
And-
everyone back yet, though.
Right.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just giving because it's
Yes.
not on my agenda and I'm just reinforcing it because I think we're going to be done a little early too.
That
And I
sounds
think
good. I
that's
have a
okay.
couple extra things, and I know that Carly has a Kahoot that we can use too.
Oh
so-
yeah, wonderful.
Although I'm sure everyone was like, early's not bad.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement. I feel like I know
I
I
get
keep-
it.
Kelly, I have a question.
oh sure, yes.
Is everybody, except me, familiar with digital microscopes? I had never seen those before, and I was doing a master naturalist thing, and one of the other people had one. This is like $20. Now you have to plug it into a laptop, but it's fascinating.
It is.
And the kids can hold it and move it around. And I thought, well, maybe, you know,
Excuse me, I have one that attaches to my phone,
okay,
digital microscope, so,
what's
So
the
you-
brand? Do you know?
no, I think it's a Japanese, or excuse me, something Chinese, because it was relatively cheap, but it does the trick.
Well, and you can take pictures then, right, Linda?
I
screenshot, you
don't
could do
Yeah,
a
you can
know. I haven't
screenshot,
tried
yeah.
it. Yeah, I imagine I could. I haven't tried that, but that's a good suggestion.
Carly
Yeah.
just dropped a link into the chat of
Right.
a magnifying bug viewer that
Okay.
Yeah, we were just talking
Oh,
about those kind of things.
sorry.
On like, no, on like how to view or how to, save the things that you're collecting. And so that was another good one. It sounds like everybody was kind of on that same topic.
So did everyone enjoy this breakout rooms?
Yes.
Give me a thumbs up.
Yeah, we had some great.
I think it was great. I love that part
Yes.
of sharing so we can get a little bit of deeper dive into different activities and learn more from each other, share knowledge.
Mhm.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so right now we are going to talk with Natalie about the adaptations that we can do to the guide to help our students with I don't even know if the term special needs anymore, or
I like to
variety
use
of
the term different abilities because
Yeah,
like
different
there's
abilities. There you go.
some kids are really, really great in some ways, and maybe holding things over their ears or their eyes is not the thing that they are great at. I have one of those children.
Right.
And so I do want to talk a little bit about that today. I'm going to share really quickly. Carly talks so much about NAAWE standards and how to match those things up into your classroom. There is on the PLT website a quick, I'm going to share my screen really quick, a quick guide, not quick guide, it's pretty long, but it is like the new, help me out. I lost it already. What's the
Next.
acronym?
Next generation.
Next generation. Dang it. See, some of us have different abilities, and remembering acronyms is not mine. So next generation science standards, this is going to obviously focus mainly on science, but they have them for each activity in your guide and how they can correlate and things like that. So this is on the website. It's under the resources page. So feel free to explore that. There's some great things in there. And then I also wanted to talk about the appendix, because Carly and I had matching things we wanted to talk about today. We just didn't know it. But the appendix in your guide, so your guide that you got with this program, has a lot of those same appendices in them. And it's things about if you didn't have the CD, you don't want to use the CD, you want to sing along. It has all of the lyrics to all of the songs. And then it has sections on playing safely in the outdoors, safe behaviors. I would recommend reading those and adapting them for your group, because every group is different. And we all have had a group that has that kid that likes to run away, that likes to go off on their own, that likes to just sit in one place and not move. So think about the children in your group. Maybe it's your own child, maybe it's your master naturalist group that you have, maybe it's a temporary group, and set those expectations ahead of time. Set their rules, and you can brand that however you want, but You have rules for your classroom. You should have rules for your outside. And you can kind of break what we talked about, I think, a little bit in the second day is start slowly. Go out and just explore one day. Get the time to establish those rules. Let the children understand before you want to jump into a lesson. Let them understand how to be safely outdoors before you want them to learn how to be safely outdoors at the same time, focusing on whatever you want to teach them, because it's a lot. I mean, that's a lot for my little brain, let alone a child's brain that hasn't spent a ton of time in an outdoor classroom. So that's going to be a great thing, is looking at those guidelines for safely being outside and then adapting them for your group. I have a whole presentation I put together, and here I am just pushing right through with my own words. So the appendices that I thought specifically for early childhood were really helpful. Appendix 2, playing safely outside with children. There's another one about collecting plants and animals that might not apply to you as much. There's one about taking neighborhood walks. Again, that some of that is going to apply to you and some of it is not. Some of it is going to be stuff you're already doing. So Appendix 2 I thought was important, and Appendix 5, which is setting up an outdoor classroom. So maybe you can't build a whole classroom because budgets are a limit. So maybe you can't set up a whole outdoor classroom, but maybe you have things that you can, hey, on Tuesday, I know I'm going to go outside. Here's some things I can put outside ahead of time so that it's set up. It's less I have to do in the moment. Or talk to your administration and say, hey, can I have this corner? Can we set up, even if it's stuff that's indoor items that you can set up to make that space more accessible for outside. So look at that thing about setting up an outdoor classroom. It's going to give you some great ideas on what you can do to make that happen. And some of them are going to cost money. Some of them you might look and say, I don't want to pay that. So I'm going to use these tools that I already have to do that for myself. So that was great. And then Appendix 7, which is bringing nature into the classroom. Maybe because of your students' abilities, because of weather, because of accessibility, because of safety, you cannot set up an outside classroom. So you can take those elements of nature and bring them in. And there's some really great ideas in this appendix on the things you can do that would be adaptable for these lessons in this guide, but that are also just going to be great ways to establish a connection to nature for these students without you having to do that outdoor experience, if that's not going to work for you. Because again, it's not going to work for everybody. We want it to, that's the perfect world, right? But it's not necessarily going to work for everybody. So there's that bringing nature into the classroom, allowing students to maybe, if they're outside at recess or outside during playtime, maybe having a place where they can bring things from the outside and deposit them. And hey, this is a cool thing I found outside. I know I can bring it inside and look in a little magnifying cup. I want to bring it in, and allowing that experience to happen. Because if every time you say no, don't pick that up, don't touch that, don't carry that inside, that child will eventually be like, oh, I can't touch these things outside because it's a, I'm not allowed to, I'm not supposed to. Give that freedom, give them that opportunity to make that choice. There is a section about setting up a woodworking center in your classroom. I get that that is maybe not a realistic idea, but the option of having that. Have you seen those playgrounds where they're like, it's a place you go and it's just like wood, and kids can use saws and nails and screw, like the actual electric drills sometimes, excuse me. And me as a parent and me as a teacher is like, the chaos and the injuries and the hammers on your fingers. But I think when you have that space and you have those rules, those expectations set up, children innately don't want to hurt themselves and do want to follow the rules for the most part. So having a safe space where they can hammer nails with maybe an aid, or you set up some observation time so they can get used to it. It's a great idea. And I understand that having 12 kids hammering nails in your classroom sounds like a nightmare. So I understand that that's not realistic for everybody, but there's some really, really great things in these appendices that you can use to start to brainstorm ways to make this more accessible for your classroom. Okay, the other thing we wanted to talk about today was how to take these activities and accommodate people with different needs in your classes. And a lot of things that I'm going to focus on are things like sensory issues. Lots of kids, my own included, have issues with touch, getting dirty, getting muddy, having that in their fingernails, on their fingers, too many sounds, having things that are different textures are not always great for some kids. So we're going to talk about things like that. Some mobility maybe issues, because maybe getting outside for children with mobility issues is going to be a limiting factor. So we can talk about a little bit about how nature walks might work, and how we can center those around people of different needs in our classrooms. And I think there was another thing, but I can't remember it right now. So maybe I'll remember it as we go through it. I'm going to focus on 3 different activities. I think some of you probably brought some of these up in your, evidently not going in order of the book, because definitely activity 2 is later. So we'll start with 5 and then we'll just see what happens. So if we think about activity 5, Signs of Fall, the featured experience in that is going to be an autumn adventure. And that's going to be a walk. That's going to be something like that. In this activity, students are given a bucket and the ability to gather things. Well, if you were a child that's using a mobility device, like a walker, like a wheelchair, like a cane, like a hand crutch, carrying a bucket and collecting things is going to be tricky. So one of my suggestions on this is maybe pairing students up, allowing them to share those buckets, work together, because we don't want anyone to feel othered. We don't want anybody to feel like only you are getting this accommodation, everybody else is doing it on their own. That's not what we want to do here. We want everybody to feel like we're partnering up. Maybe you switch partners halfway through. Maybe we swap around so that, one student doesn't feel like they're limited either. So partnering it up, maybe one person is assigned to hold the bucket and one person is assigned to hold the magnifying glass. Different things can happen during that, so that they don't feel like students don't feel like they have to choose between one activity and mobility. Another idea is maybe spreading out in certain areas and assigning a quadrant, so someone who has a mobility limitation, okay, this is your small area to explore. That's this other pair, this is your small area to explore, and things like that. So you're not having to lead a whole path, you're not having to walk a whole long distance where somebody, again, who doesn't move very easily, they're more focused on actually the effort of moving rather than the observation. So we want to kind of think about that, maybe making it a little microcosm of that autumn adventure. Here, you explore this small area, and here's the things we're looking for. You can set your bucket down. You don't have to carry it with you. Maybe their magnifying glass is hung on a string around their neck, rather than having to hold it in their hand. So kind of think about how you can adapt those things instead of saying, oh, that's not going to work for me because I have a student that's in a walker. Maybe we can adapt this program to work for them as well. We also in this activity, there's a learning through music and movement. And some kids have a really hard time participating in those group performance activities. Again, my kid is one of those kids. It's embarrassment. It's really hard for them. They can't remember the lyrics as fast as everybody else. They don't remember all the things that they were supposed to do. So maybe making it not a central activity where everyone is being looked at. They can do it in whatever way works for them. Maybe instead of dancing with their whole body, maybe they only use their hands. Maybe only their hands have to move. Maybe if they can mouth the words instead of having to sing them out loud. Those are kinds of things that kind of take the pressure off. You can do sing and dance. You can just dance. You can dance with your hands. You don't have to be up in the front with everybody else. You can do it off to the side. If we have to pressure that child to always be in front of everybody and always doing it exactly correctly, they're going to resist it even more because it's such a hard experience for them to do. A lot of you guys that are educators already know this, so it's not going to be news to you, but stuff like that, just really thinking about how instead of forcing them to do the same thing as everybody else, it could be really great to kind of meet them where they're at, still have the activity and getting them involved in it, but maybe making it more accessible for them. And then the last part I wanted to kind of highlight in this activity is there's a math and a Math and manipulatives section, where you're graphing a leaf collection. And this is a great opportunity to do things at multiple levels. Maybe you're collecting leaves and using those for the graph. Maybe you're using it for cutting. Maybe you're cutting it. Maybe you have to tear paper and tear it to make a leaf however you want using torn paper, things like that. You can meet that, really figuring out what you need, your students need at that moment, and adapting it. Maybe if you don't want to have kids cut out leaf cutouts. Woof, words are hard. Cutting out leaves is not going to work for you because you have students with grasping problems. Maybe they're tearing, maybe they are doing a leaf rubbing, maybe they're just collecting leaves, whatever works for them. Kathleen has a great suggestion about giving students scarves to wave rather than focus on their own bodies and how their bodies are moving, using scarves or props. That's a great suggestion. The graphing activity, you can also use felt leaves where, that's a nice tactile activity where the only thing that you have to get right is matching the color up, things like that. So there's a really good opportunity to meet your students where they're at with that activity as well. How's it going, everybody? We're cruising. All right, next activity that I wanted to highlight is activity 10, which is on page 88. And that activity is trees as habitats. It's weird because Marissa did trees as habitats in our program. And then we're going to talk about sounds around next, which Kathleen talked about. So it's just, we're all focusing really hard on the same activities, and that's great. So this is a great opportunity to talk about children who have a hard time sitting still. A lot of times I'm pulling this from my own lived experience because I am the mother of a person with sensory issues. I'm the mother of a person who has attention deficit disorder. So they do not sit still well. Activities where they have to be specifically very quiet are very hard for us. So that's going to be a tricky thing, especially if you have outdoor expectations and things like that. So thinking about what you can do to accommodate those children who have a hard time sitting still. When I need my son to focus on something or do a dramatic play, I have to think about the things that he likes. And I think Jessica brought this up about maybe her son, running down a path instead of doing this. And we talked about maybe making that more of an animal activity. Okay, can you crouch really hard? Can you crouch down really low and sit quiet like you're a squirrel that heard something moving and they want to hear, maybe you can make that focus work for you, where you give that child something to focus on, an activity to do. Okay, right now we're going to pretend that we're, again, that squirrel, or maybe you're a bird that is waiting for the right moment to fly away. And how would you do that? And what would your body movement be like? So that's a great opportunity. And then trees as habitats, you can use those different, play acting parts to do your observations. How would you sit in this tree? How would you use this tree if you were a bird? And work the dramatic play into it to kind of give that child something to focus on, because when they're trying to listen, their body has to be moving. And so maybe you give that actual movement purpose to get these things done. In this activity, you make animal masks as well. One of the adaptations that I have done with this is, instead of having tie-on strings, because again, some children really cannot handle having that on their face, around their eyes, putting them on sticks, 2 popsicle sticks, 2 straws, whatever you have, and being able to lift it up and put it down, and giving them the freedom to choose when they can wear that and how they can wear that, rather than forcing it to be on their face and around their head. There is so much dramatic play in this book. And I mean, it's a great opportunity for kids, and it's a great learning experience for kids. Again, like I said, some kids have a hard time with that. So really trying to figure out what's going to work best for them. When you're looking at different roles that children can play in this one, they are acting out a story. And so maybe there's a character that's going to work better for that child that doesn't have a lot of speaking roles, or that doesn't have a lot of acting parts, that they can not necessarily fade into the background, but still have an important part, but it doesn't have as much pressure onto it. So maybe they're important, maybe they're the tree, and that they have to be there but they don't have to actually do anything in that actual, role playing. They can just be part of it, included, without having that pressure. So kind of think about how your students work in that way. And I think, yeah, I'm still doing okay on time, but we'll do one more activity here. And that is sounds around. And I don't know if anybody else is a How the Grinch Stole Christmas fan, but noise. And I think all the time about how the Grinch probably just had misophonia and just really didn't like noise. And if you think about that, imagine somebody that has a really hard time with noise and nobody around them is respecting that boundary. I am that person. All of my children have toys that make so many sounds, and I just have to put clear tape over the speakers so that they're not so loud. So, think about those students. Maybe if they are a student that has a hard time, encouraging their parents to provide some noise canceling headphones or something like that they can put on during loud music time. Those cacophonous sounds, banging, things like that, those are hard sounds for kids that have a sensory problem in that way. Another option, if that's off the table, would be putting cloth, like a cloth or a muffler between the whatever it is that you're using, and the mallet or whatever it is, so that noise, it's still making that cacophony, but it's not as loud and sharp, dulling that sound. Those sharp sounds are really, really tricky for somebody that has that sensory problem. So thinking about that, and then you get all of those noises together, and that now that sound can be really overwhelming, and that student is going to shut down. That student's not going to engage in that program. So think about if you build into that slowly, you'll know as soon as you see it starting when there's a noise problem. So think about that, maybe spread out so that the noises aren't so close together, and things like that. In this, we've talked a little bit about children that have problems with things around their heads and around their ears. As you can see on the slide, putting a cup around their ears. First of all, I don't want to do that because it'll make me feel uncomfortable. I wonder if my kid gets it. But having this cup around your ear, while it's cool and you will get that thing, the focus for that child is going to solely be on that feeling of that cup right on their ear. And they're not going to be thinking about what they're supposed to be doing. They're not going to be thinking about the sounds that they can hear. Maybe it's better for them to actually use their hands. The experience maybe won't be as good, but they will be able to at least get something from that experience rather than focusing solely on the feeling of that thing. So there's, that's one of the definite things about those kids that have hard times putting things on their faces and on their heads. And I'm not sure if anyone has ever experienced a child that does verbal stimming, or their tongue clickers, their hummers. They have to make a sound while they focus. They have to make a sound because it makes them focus better or makes them feel more comfortable in the moment. For a program like Sounds Around, where a big chunk of it is relying on being quiet and listening to the sounds that you hear, having a child in your group that's tongue clicking is going to be hard for the rest of your class to focus. And it's going to be hard for maybe you to do that. So that's going to be something. Some children are able to do something else, and you can talk to them about, hey, maybe you can use this fidget spinner, fidget block. Here's the thing you can hold while you're doing this. Here's the thing you can move in your hands. So they're getting that sensory feeling, that thing that's going to substitute that audio stimming, that just give them something that they can focus on while you're doing that quiet listening, and maybe break it into small chunks. Maybe you only listen quietly for 10 seconds so that they feel like, okay, I only have to make it through this 10 seconds. It's not an extended, prolonged period of time where they really have to hold out not making that sound, because it's stressful and they're focusing only on not making that sound rather than focusing on the activity. So giving a different option to focus on, maybe it's something they can move, maybe it's something they can squeeze, like a stress ball or a sensory putty or something like that they can touch while you're doing that activity to prolong that experience for everybody else, but also for that kid. That child is really going to be focusing more on what they're hearing rather than their behavior. So that's kind of my sum up. I don't think I have any more slides. That's kind of the programs that I wanted to kind of highlight. I know if there's anybody else have any ways that that they had seen to adapt any of the activities that we did, definitely jump in if you saw when you were going through your share out things that you could have adapted. Oh, we talked about this a little bit. You talked a little bit about magnifying little jars and things like that. We talked about the ability to have a magnifying glass and whether that would work for your classroom. My kids, my personal kids, and also other kids that I have taught programs with, they have a hard time looking through binoculars and actually seeing things. And they have a hard time figuring out how to use that magnifying glass to really focus on what they're looking at. So we have taken, we talked about this in our breakout room, taken a little clear plastic tub, just like one of those cheap Rubbermaid ones you can get at Target or whatever, and putting whatever it is you want to look at in that tub. It's not going to magnify it, but they can put it up to their eyes. They can get close to it without having to purchase an extra item. Most of you guys will already have some of those in your classroom, but it gives the opportunity to explore that thing close up with nothing else around it. So you can really get as close as you want to that. Maybe it's not as magnified as a magnifying glass, but it really kind of isolates that item instead of having to look through your magnifying glass at things around it and try to focus on that thing at the same time. So that was another suggestion that I thought I would share as well. All right. I think that's all I've got right now, Kelly. I think that was all we talked about. Yeah, appendices. And then we talked a little bit about the NGSS guidelines as well.
Wonderful. I did
Great.
touch on it. I think you weren't here, but it's great to have a review and to, align with emphasis how great the appendices are.
Mhm.
So that's wonderful.
Sorry, yeah, I missed the hike through the guide.
That's okay.
Sorry about that.
Not a problem. Like I said, I think it's great to reemphasize. Can you not share your screen?
Yes, I totally can.
Wonderful.
Here we go.
We had a good suggestion in the chat from Kathleen about adding scarves when you're doing like the dancing and moving and things like that. If they didn't want to get up and dance, that they could move like a scarf. I also dropped a thing in about woodworking. It doesn't need to be scary. And that you could do it as like a parent night activity where the parents like buy the kit and then you have a little help with oversight and things like that too. And although it's fairly rare in the United States to do woodworking with young children, around the world it is not uncommon. Europe and Australia, New Zealand, like that's commonplace things that they learn in their forest schools. So I do have a link to a program from New Zealand that has some tips. Also, if you need program materials, I popped the mini grant, the EEAI mini grant link in the chat because that's coming up and it's an easy $350 that you can get for these kinds of materials and things like that. And then I cannot find the one that I made, but with my little binocular thing that we had done the first day, if you remember back then, I made it really quick. There's a really easy adaptation with that where I just stapled this on here. You can glue it or tape it depending on what materials you want to use, but adding popsicle sticks to things can also give a little bit more grip. And if you have, two of the things, you can even put one on the top, one on the bottom, and just a little bit easier to hold or grab onto. And like Natalie said, with like the stick, add a stick to things. It can help a lot. And the craft sticks, popsicle sticks are an easy way to do that.
Yeah, Natalie, your suggestions were fabulous. Things like really new things that I had not heard of. So I appreciate you sharing that with us.
It's just all trial and error. You know what I mean?
It was good. It was definitely good. Carly, did you want to do that last Kahoot? And then we can do our final raffle and then our wrap up. And then I'm going to, right after this, send you the evaluation through your email. And if you could really quick just fill that out, it would be great because I do believe we'll end early. So you can just add that to your time for today. But did you want to share that Kahoot?
So
Carly?
we had
That's great, Jen. Sorry, Jen really, while you're getting that set up, Jen said that using vegetable peelers as whittling sticks as like a great intro. That's amazing idea. And really it's easier to talk about how to be safe with a vegetable peeler, right? Than a knife or
Right.
even a hammer.
I do recommend purchasing decent ones though, and not the ones from the dollar store. They don't work very well. But like, I think Amazon has them for like $5 or $6 and they work well.
It's something I find a lot at Home Goods too, or
Yeah.
like TJ Maxx. They always have the Y peelers. You know what I mean? Those ones are great too.
Okay, so I'm actually going to do a Mentimeter really quick because I want to have this isn't a word cloud. I think it's a flow grid. But from the whole conference, now that we've done 3 presentations or 3 days this week, what sorts of things are you new elements that you're looking to incorporate into your program? So again, menti.com, and then the code is here at the top, and hopefully this works. But just things that you've learned this week, different elements that you keyed in on that would help in your programs. We'd love to kind of hear what you've gleaned, right? What you've learned from the different presentations and what you'd like to incorporate. It could be things that you already do and just things you want to enhance upon, or brand new things that you're looking to add that you haven't yet.
And don't forget, as somebody wrote, building an outdoor classroom space, there is that video that's on the Moodle that highlights Sugar Grove's Imaginarium, I think is what they call it. And they walk you through some really easy ways of creating an outdoor space. So don't forget to check out a virtual tour.
That did remind me too. I dropped the PDF of those NGSS guidelines into the Moodle this morning, in
Wonderful.
case, so that people don't have to log on to the PLT website if they don't want to. It's right there in that Moodle.
I had those in the chat too, Natalie. I dropped those in while you were talking.
Thank you. Good. I was on laser focus mode. I had my toilet paper roll binoculars on.
Awesome. So some great things. It looks like you all are taking some things from the program, getting some new ideas. We all need some inspiration, right? Especially right now, I feel like we just need to re-energize and bring some new things in for ourselves as well as for our students. I love professional development programs like this because it really helps inspire me, right? You need to be enthusiastic in order to make it fun and be able to teach others. So having that inspiration and those new ideas just kind of helps invigorate myself and hopefully you as well, to tie in some fun new activities. In this book, I know in our small group, we were talking about just how much is in it, right? I mean, there's a lot in there. So it can be a little overwhelming because we just like threw a whole bunch of resources at you. But take the time to go through those, you know, in the coming weeks and months, you know, keep them in your back pocket for when you need them. But there really is just so much out there that you can tie into your curriculum and what you're doing. So awesome. Thank you for sharing your ideas. I will get this up onto the Moodle as well, so that we can all kind of remember what we were inspired by. And feel free to keep adding to that as we go. And then Kelly, I'll hand it back over to you.
So did you have that Kahoot that you were going to do? I mean, if you want, I don't know. I think we have time to do that and then we'll finalize everything.
Awesome. So this is a new thing. Let me see. Let me get it ready really quick. We'll do this one. We're getting the pin. So let me share. There we go. All right, so this is Kahoot.it, or there's a Kahoot app, but it's easy just to play from the website, and I will drop that in the chat as well. And then the game pin is here, so we'll join in and you type your name in so we know who you are. And then we have 10 different questions that will go over different trivia from nature. Just fun little questions I had put together.
And you're welcome for having the song in your head for the rest of the day.
Yes.
This is a really good way of, if anybody does other virtual trainings, to get people involved if they happen.
It
right?
works great for kids too. I mean, if you're a classroom that does use technology, that has iPads or Chromebooks or whatever, my kids have learned how to do Kahoot from kindergarten, and they, maybe they need a little help logging in, but they once they're in, red is this answer, green is this answer, yellow is, and you can use this as like a really fun quiz day. You can do picture answers depending on it. We have some questions about how to sign in. If you put that website, kahoot.it, it should just come up on a new, on your phone or things like that. And it should just give you the opportunity to put in that pin, that number pin that's up on Carly's screen right now.
Yeah.
It's like Mentimeter. So you got to log in and then add the pin.
Yeah. So when you, if you can see this, I don't know if you can, but when you go to that website, there's a enter the game pin. So the number that's up on top, the 5669220. You shouldn't need to like make a profile or anything right now. It's just set up to play it as a game.
And then you'll just put your name in.
Yeah, and put your name in so we know who you are. I actually learned about this because at my university, a couple of the professors started using this for the quizzes. Kind of a fun way to do those like impromptu, reading quizzes or whatever. So I think we have everybody in, right?
I think we're missing one, but I think we can move along.
So I'm going to go ahead and start. I believe you can jump in.
Yeah.
When, as we go.
So we should be looking on our phone, or are we looking at your?
So you look at the screen.
Okay.
See the
wherever
question.
you logged in is where you're going to put your answer in.
Yes. So birds migrate to warmer areas because, and then you click the color coded.
Oh, okay. On the
answer
phone.
on your phone.
Okay.
So the triangle, there's more food available. The diamond, they like to vacation. The circle, the days get shorter. The square, the leaves fall off the trees. Yes, there's more food available there.
Woo!
Woohoo! Birds are warm-blooded, so they can survive the cold if they have enough calories. They like to go vacation.
I'm on an answer streak, everybody.
Great job.
So we'll just go through this one time, right? And then we'll, okay.
So there's
sounds
10
good.
questions. Yep, so it's pretty quick.
Oh.
What tree is this from?
Got it. Okay.
So, and Kahoot will like weight your, like the faster you respond, the more points you get. So
Yes.
it's like, especially like your students might get excited about answering faster and things like that. And you can have a conversation about, it's important to be fast, but it's also important to be right. Things like that.
This would be a great family thing to do too. Right?
Yeah. Family game night. This became very popular with the lockdown and everything because you can play it anywhere, right? So we've done that too. So yes, that was an acorn from an oak tree.
Oh my god.
Your board is changing.
Sorry, everybody.
Natalie knows already.
I said I wasn't competitive, but turns out.
All right, what is this in the picture?
I already got a thing that says pure genius, just so you know, Natalie.
Mine says lightning smart, ? Again, it's more important to be, correct than the fastest. So we'll see if I got it wrong.
Yes, I already got that. It's a great project for that woodworking. And Jen actually made that for her project. So very easy thing.
Nice job.
Wonderful.
Woodworking, yes.
Oh man.
Oh, Kathy's got the flames. Great job.
What is the tallest living thing?
Did you hear? Okay, wait, hold on. I don't want to give away the answer.
I almost did that too. If you've seen the news, you know what this is.
Yes.
Yes. So Broadway.
They've got the fire blankets around it.
I know.
Protected at all costs. Good golly.
Yep.
Whoa, Linda's crawling up.
Mhm.
Right. true or false? The tallest, the largest, and the oldest living things are all trees. True.
Blue
Tree
whale
growing
was my
things.
next question, was my second guess. Blue whale,
What?
but
Oh, yeah, it is. That's the largest, but that's the largest living animal
like
on
living
Earth
animal. Yeah,
ever,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I think so.
Mhm.
Okay, maybe that's
Trees
not
are
my
just
area of
amazing.
expertise.
Man,
All right, let's see. True or false? The word equinox means equal day.
Actually, is this a trick question?
I was gonna say, I might have just gotten this wrong.
Yeah, this is a trick question, and I
It
fell
is
for it. Son of a gun! Dang
Right,
it.
it's the opposite of that, right?
Who just told me to dust myself off? Greatness awaits.
All right, let's see. We
Oh
stumped.
no! Oh,
I
good.
also got it wrong, so don't even worry.
Woo, still at the top. Okay.
A bird's nest is usually only used for a brief period of time to raise young. True or false? Yes. It is like a nursery, right? It helps hold the eggs and the young. Very good. Everybody got that. And yeah, equinox is equal night, right? We didn't actually clarify that.
Well, and you really, I think I remember that from Harry Potter. Nox is the word to turn off the lights on their magic wands.
Ah, yes.
Harry Potter is like my life, man. I play Scrabble. I'm like, why aren't these words here?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, xylem and phloem. Those are the types of tubes in the tree. And that is from the project that Natalie did.
I didn't talk about that at all. So sorry if I was supposed to cover that.
It's in that lesson.
Yeah, just trust Carly. That is part of the content, even if I didn't
Oh
cover
my
it.
gosh, this is it, Natalie.
What?
It's between you and me.
Oh, okay.
We're
Oops,
fighting
I'm trying.
for
Wow.
the top.
So
Did you
most
just
girls
miss
have
it?
better
This
sense
got
of
really
more
intense.
taste buds than boys do. True or false?
Ooh, I don't know.
And these are from the activities in your book, just so you know, like this is the background
Way to
information.
go,
from the
Carly.
book. True. We have more taste buds. Isn't that cool?
Very.
Oh, look at how close
Oh man.
it is. This next one's for all the marbles here.
Oh, it is? Oh my gosh,
All
I
right,
thought it
the
was done.
habitat is a place that has everything a plant or animal needs to survive, including what?
It is funny because you definitely did these questions based on the activity because I'm like,
Yes, they're all
I know
from
these.
the activity.
Sorry if we were supposed to let the actual participants win this. Me and Kelly are over here like, move out of the way, everybody. We're gonna
Yay,
win.
good.
The people who had to study this to do the class. Oh, Kelly! Kelly won. I wasn't fast enough on that last one. Overtook me.
All right. So
Our
that
runners up,
was
Mary and
fabulous.
Kathy M. So our winners are Jen, Mary, and Kathy M.
What? All right. If
She
you want
eliminated us.
to, okay, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen one last time. Thank you so much. That was very, very fun. I appreciate it. Of course, because I won. So,
Jen won. I heard from Carly's mouth that Jen won.
That's right.
okay. Okay, so we're going to fly through all of this that we've already done. I think the activity share went very well. I do appreciate everyone participating. Okay, so like I said, this is the evaluation lookalike. It's going to be sent. It's a Google document, and I think anybody can fill it out even if you don't have a Gmail account. Oh, and you're going to get a certificate of completion. So don't forget to look for that. That'll be happening. Most of this will be happening by next week. The goals, if you remember, of the conference is that I just we want you to be comfortable and understanding of the activities and what is the guide provides you. We do emphasize not just the activities, but also the appendices are great resources. We hope that you had a chance to network with your fellow peers, but also with us as facilitators, and that you understand some of the resources that are available in connection with the Environmental Education Association of Illinois. One way to kind of keep up to date with that is if you stay on social media with EEAI. We're on Instagram and Facebook. If you become a member, for EEAI, you also get the update, which is an email, and then that email newsletter will provide you with resources, but also upcoming trainings that are available. Again, we're gonna have a conference coming up in 2022 in April. And we really encourage you to come. You do get a discount if you're a member. It's a great way to network, to meet other people, like-minded people like you. It provides tons of resources. I don't know if Carly wanted to say anything more.
Yeah, well, I'm one of the co-chairs planning this one. I'm a regional director in this area, so we are very excited to have our first in-person conference in the last 2 years. And we're going to be at Hoover Forest Preserve, which if you've never been in Yorkville, Illinois, it's a beautiful campus, and we will be using all of its campus for our different sessions and things. So we've kind of condensed the format of the conference. So it's 2 days, so Friday and Saturday. If you can only attend one day, that's fine too. We'll also have some workshops the day before. So if you want to do like a facilitator training or things like that, we will have some workshops on Thursday. But this is going to be just a wonderful conference. The call for presenters is going to go out very shortly. So if you would like to be part of it and present on the programs or collaborations that you are doing, those will go out in an email and be on the website. So definitely we welcome all of you to tell us what you are doing in your programs as well.
Wonderful. Thank you. Oh, the last raffle prize. This is why I have an agenda, so that I don't forget this stuff.
I mean, sometimes you have an agenda and you still forget stuff. That happens to us sometimes.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. So the last raffle prize is the Nature Circles, and it's also that EEAI membership. And to emphasize some of the benefits of the EEAI membership is you get discounts to trainings and you get those mini grants that we were talking about. So, mini grants can be anything for your school or group of students or club. It could be binoculars. It could be, access to a website that you have to pay. So those things are available. I've gotten mini grants before, so they're available and not everybody applies for them. So I do encourage you to do that.
And if you've never done a grant process before, it's a good, easy one. And to kind of get into
Kathy! Woo!
Okay, Kathy.
Wonderful, right? Okay, I'm writing that down. Kathy M. Raffle 6. Okay, so that was our last one.
I'll say a quick thank you for those of you that came this week and this session, because it was an awesome group and we had
really
lots of great
was
participation and good ideas, and it just buoys my soul with good feelings when people care about this stuff and want to bring it into their classrooms and have children experience it. So thank you.
So this will be wrapping up. We are a little early. I think that everyone's fine with that. Please, if you have any feedback, feel free to email me. If you all want to right now, share your emails in the chat. Natalie and Carly, if you wanted to do that, this is your opportunity. Like I said, feel free to email me anything after. And we hope to see you on another training or at the conference. Would be wonderful. But I do thank you for joining us and sharing your time so that we can all learn from each other.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.